Welcome. We're going to talk tonight about how our town is governed. You know, there are 169 towns and cities in Connecticut. They each have a different governmental structure. So this will be interesting. I'm going to ask these women to start out by telling us how you got into this work and what training it took to get where you are.
All right, so I'm Wendi Sims. I'm one of the registrars. I moved here in 2017 and decided to get kind of involved in like local politics. I volunteered. The previous registrar sent out a request for volunteers, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool because I'm a very big dork and really do love policies and processes and procedures. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can work an election? That's like the coolest thing ever. So I worked, I believe, the August 2018 primary. That was a gubernatorial primary. And then I worked the 2018 midterms. And then later, sometime in December, the registrar was like, hey, I need a new deputy. Would you be interested? And I was like, oh, that sounds like the coolest thing ever, yes. So I was her deputy for about a year and a half until June of 2020 when she stepped down. And I got this job in the midst of COVID and having to, it was quite a baptism by fire, kind of like drinking from a fire hose. It was a COVID election. We did presidential primary. We had a recount because there was a congressional primary. We did a recount. We had a referendum. We had the presidential election, and all that came after that. Part of our training, Mary and I were discussing it earlier, we are required to be certified by the state of Connecticut. There's a course from UConn. Now it's online, thanks to COVID. Before it was in person. 8 modules going over everything from various federal election laws, covering how to set up and run a polling place, how to handle petitions, how to handle our voter registration system, best practices, just everything involved in how to run the office. We are required to be certified moderators. We have to keep up our certification on that. We have monthly Secretary of State Zoom phone calls that we keep up with. We got back. We have 2 conferences a year. Ours is today and tomorrow, so we just got back from Bristol a couple hours ago. We're required to have, I believe it's 8 CEUs every year to continue our education and maintain our knowledge level. We have new tabulators. This year we had to do lots of training on that. We're having a new voter registration system that's coming online. Next year we had to do lots of training for that, so we're constantly training and keeping our skills fresh and updated, and I talk too much.
Thank you. We covered a lot. I'm Karen Galbo. I started with the town in 2001, and I was assistant town clerk then. I became clerk in 2017. Like the registrars, we do have a certification process. You have to be in the office for a certain amount of years. I think it's 3 or 4. And then you have to do classes, and there is a test. We do have 2 conferences a year also. We have the Zooms every month with the Secretary of State's office. They're always training us on new information and whatnot. And that's about it.
There's absolutely nothing left for me to say. I've been doing registrar or election work for 48 years. I came about it the old way. Mary Grace, get down there, register to vote, and you have to work the polls. My mother was registrar voter. So I worked my way up. I kind of teased on this whole process. So I go back many years, and I'm so impressed with the changes that we're finally doing within the state to have early voting say, or just even the tabulators. But both ladies really covered pretty much what we did. We learn, we train people as well, and we try to keep the elections going smooth. So you come into the registrar's office to register to vote, or you can go online and do it. And what you'll bring up is the online registration, and you can also check to see, A, maybe you've already been registered in another town in the state. B, maybe you were registered under your maiden name, so you give that look up. And you still feel like you want to do the old in person, which we love. You come into our office, you bring your photo ID, and preferably something that, you know, has a picture, but it doesn't have to be a driver's license, okay? And then you want something with a name and signature, or actually for the original face-to-face, we need the picture with some type of a number on it. So you fill out the card. It's very simple. Your name, your address, if you want to be a member of a political party. If you had a previous voting registration in another town, your maiden name. There's 10 to 12 questions. A, are you a citizen? B, are you over 18?
What about felonies?
Felons, okay, not a felon, previous voting address. Those, you will all have to check those 5 boxes before you can actually start the process.
So for felons, you can have your voting rights restored upon completion of your sentence, which for now, once you exit incarceration, if you are not on parole, you are deemed to have completed your sentence, and you get your voting rights restored as soon as you complete your sentence. If you leave your incarceration and have parole, as soon as parole ends, your sentence is done, you get your voting rights restored. Mary usually handles the felons, and Mary handles the felons. She seems familiar. But she temporarily removes them from the voting list, puts their cards aside, and once they're done with their sentence, they get their voting rights restored.
However, if you are incarcerated and you're awaiting trial, you can still vote. So we've since become involved with the York Correctional Institute and go out there and help women register to vote, get their absentee ballot. We did that in conjunction with one of the Secretary of State workers last year, I want to say that was. And they're looking to keep that project going. Because if I, God forbid, go to prison and I can't afford my bail money, but yet I still, I want to take part of what's going on in my town, just because I can't bail out, I can still vote.
All right, so when I show up to vote, what do I need to do to prove who I am?
All right, so the voting process, when you come in to vote, you should have some form of ID. Connecticut does require some form of ID. That ID can be something, a pre-printed form of ID with your name and address, your name and photograph, your name and signature. Most people show their driver's license. It's the most convenient. It's photo, name, address, signature. It's got everything. We've had people come in with a work badge. It's a pre-printed form of ID with their name and photo. That is an acceptable form of voter identification. We've had some people get wonky and here's my bank card. It's pre-printed, it's got their name and signature, social security card. We've had utility bills. It is pre-printed with their name and address, so it is an acceptable form of ID. If you do not have ID, we have an affidavit for you to sign attesting that you are who you say you are. Jamie's familiar with the affidavit. So you can sign that, and you are attesting that you are who you say you are. So after you go to your checker, you show that the checker asks you out loud. You're supposed to say out loud your name and address. They'll ask you for your name and address because other people can challenge you. Like, oh, you say you're Wendi Sims and you live at this address? No, you don't. You don't live there. It very rarely happens, knock on wood. But that is a right that other voters have. So your checker will then look at whatever form of ID you show. They'll look you up in our voter checklist, our official voter roll. They'll mark you off as having shown up to vote. We give out tickets. It's the way to say, hey, this person has been checked off. So you take your ticket, we'll direct you to your ballot clerk. You turn in your ticket, you get your ballot and a marker. Then you go into the booth, you vote. You can vote for all of the offices, only one of the offices. It's up to you. You don't have to fill out the whole ballot. You can just pick and choose however many races. It's fine. When you're done, you go to the new tabulators that are super awesome and fancy and pretty. And you insert your ballot. Our new tabulators actually take a picture of each and every ballot.
Not the voter.
Not the voter. It's still, yes, thank you. It's still anonymous. Your vote is still secret, but it takes a picture of that ballot. The new vote machines take a couple more seconds because it is taking a picture. And then you get your sticker and you walk away and you've done your duty.
But I voted for too many candidates.
Okay. You cover that.
Okay, so when your ballot goes in, there's a problem with it, the new machine is going to pick it up and it's going to say, wow, you had vote for any 3 and you voted for all 6. So that ballot's going to come back at you. And there's an LED screen that says you have an overvote in the race of selectmen or such. So at that point, the person standing next to the machine is going to say, by looking at the screen, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, you had an overvote, you can get a new ballot. Well, I don't have time for that, I don't want a new ballot. Okay, then you're going to hit the override on the screen. And you're choosing to send that ballot through, only counting in the offices that are not overvoted. However, I have time, and I said, oh, you know, what was I thinking? I didn't have enough coffee. Here, let me get another ballot. You go back to the ballot clerk, and she takes your ballot, and she makes, a void mark on it. And she hands you back that ballot and says, vote for, here's your lines, maybe. Some of the new ballots the lines and the bubbles are hard to see.
Yeah.
We don't have the best lighting in some of our polling places. So here's your new ballot. Let's hope that it works better.
And you get a sticker, which is the most important part of the process.
What happens if you can't read a ballot and you need assistance?
Okay.
Oh.
So the question is about people with disabilities. What if a person can't read the ballot or English is not their first language? Who helps them?
So we do have an assisted voting machine, the IVS machine. If someone is vision impaired, they can ask to use the assisted voting machine and it will actually read the ballot to you, and we have a braille, like a number pad with braille numbers. They can vote that way and it just prints their ballot for them and then it goes through the machine. We have some people who might want the touch screen, they can use the touch screen. We have like a sip and puff for people like paralyzed, they have very limited mobility. It will help, it will fill out your ballot. That's a machine, which is super cool. There's also, like for someone, English might not be their first language, they can bring someone in. You are entitled to have someone help you and assist you fill out that ballot. we've often been asked in the polling place, as election officials in the polling place, we can help. We usually try to bring someone else of a different party along with us to make sure everybody knows it's all on the up and up. But we can assist anybody in the polling place with whatever they need.
However, you can bring anyone you want with you to help you vote. If you want to bring your daughter-in-law or your son-in-law or whoever, you cannot bring a union official from your union.
Or a boss. Yeah.
Not that we really say, but you say, do you want so-and-so to help you? And you're not, you're pretty sure they're not being coerced.
There's also accessible absentee ballots, so if somebody applies for an absentee ballot and they need assistance per site, there's a whole process we go through. We send them most of the things they need for an absentee ballot, but the state actually will email them a screen reader ballot that they have a special machine for to be able to read it. So.
Okay, so what if my name's not on your voter registration list?
That's a pretty easy problem to solve. We get a lot of voters from DMV. Sometimes DMV drops the ball and we do not get their registration. Sometimes it's a clerical error on our part. We are human. If you show up to vote and your name is not on the voter registration list, on the official checker list, we have a big alpha list in each polling place that has every single registered voters. Maybe you're just accidentally listed in the wrong polling place. We'll figure it out. Maybe you haven't voted or we thought you moved. We sent you a canvas letter saying, hey, are you still here? You didn't answer. You went on inactive. We have those lists in the polling place as well. Those are the first two things we check. Maybe you're just in the wrong polling place. Maybe you're inactive. If you are not anywhere, if we cannot find you, there is, we call it now same-day registration. For any general election, you can, so your November elections, it's not available for primaries or referenda, but for a general election, you do have same-day registration where we hold it in the community center here. You come in, you have to have proof of ID and proof of address, and we will register you. If we see that you've been registered elsewhere in the state, we call, say, hey, has, John Smith voted yet? He's here trying to register to vote. Just want to make sure he hasn't voted in your town. Most of the time they'll call us back and nah, he hasn't. So then those same-day registration ballots, we wait until 8 o'clock. We give all the towns time to call us back, and we don't process those ballots until the close of the polls at 8 o'clock on election day.
Who are the people who work at the polls? There are a lot of people working there. What are all the jobs that are available?
What you're first going to meet is your greeter. It's going to ask your street. Then we have a line of checkers that checks you in by the alphabet in your district. We have ballot clerks. Everyone that wants to volunteer, we encourage that they notify Wendi or I, jump off the town website, go to the voter registration, send us an email. We're always having problems finding people. And with early voting now being 14 days, that puts on a whole nother cycle in trying to employ people for day work per se. So we do train you. In East Lyme, we feed you. It's a good community day. You get to meet the people in your neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers would say. We try to put people with, if you live down in Black Point, we try to put you down in that end of town, or if you live up, not you, I'm sorry, if you live up on Chesterfield Road, we're not going to make you go to Niantic Center School. So this way you get, there's certain people, This way you get, you know, you say, oh, that's so-and-so, she lives across the street, haven't seen him in forever. So it's a good community, it's a good feel, it's a nice little hug to have people that, you know, working the polls, but we're always looking. And I say we're always looking for workers.
Quick question, total, how many volunteers do you need for an election day?
Okay, it depends on the election, and it depends, like COVID year, Jamie processed 4,700,
5,347
of absentee ballots. So it depends on what's going on the voter turnout. We usually have a total of 10 staff per election site. Okay, but there could be more. It just depends how big that alphabet is. Well, it's only 26 letters, but how many people there are on that voting. And, you know, is there 4,000, is there 6,000? We tailor that to, you know, what you need for, keep the line moving. Nobody wants to wait in line.
I think for presidential elections, we've had like a total of almost 60 across the 3 polling places. Last year we had to hire more people to process all the early voting and absentee ballots. On a normal day for early voting, last year we had at least 9 people working. This year's a municipal year, so we have reduced turnout. Hopefully early voting will increase our voter turnout, but we're probably going to have at least 5-6 people working every day of early voting.
You count all the ballots on voting day? Like the mail-in and all that doesn't get counted until the actual day?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I never knew how that worked.
We have moderators who are in charge of polling places. 2 of our moderators are here today. They're right there, and we love them.
What does a moderator do?
The moderator is in charge of the polling place.
Chief polling place official.
They are in charge. Like if they disagree with something we say, they are in charge of that polling place. That is their polling place, and they can override us. They are responsible. It's their name signing the paperwork at the end of the night. It's their election. We help out if they want to do something differently. They've read that, they've trained, they're certified, they have their moderator handbook, they have the laws right there. If they think we're doing something that doesn't go along with the laws, it's them. They can override us. They are in charge. I think in other states they may call them election judges, but they're the ones in charge. And right under them, they have 2 assistant registrars, a Democrat and a Republican, who are acting in our stead inside the polling places. They're the ones who are going to be checking the voter registration, helping sort out any discrepancies. Oh, so I got to change my name. Okay, here's your card. Let's help you change your name. Oh, I need to change my address. They have 2 assistants of both parties that are helping them as well.
Okay, we referenced early voting and absentee voting. I wanted to take each of those and describe the process for, start with absentee voting.
All aboard!
So to start off, you have to be a registered voter and you need to fill out an application to get an absentee ballot. Okay? So the application gets filled out, it's not too many questions, it's name, address, date of birth. You have to sign it. If we get the application and there's no signature, we're hunting you down, you know, either phoning or emailing or whatever. We need a signature on there. The date of the election needs to be on that application as well. So what happens is, there's reasons for this kind of stuff. So this year there's a primary in some towns, not in ours. But if I got if we did have a primary and I got an application 2 weeks ago and there's no date of what it's for, I'm not going to know if it is for the primary or is it for the election. So the state's very specific. There has to be a date on there. It also has to have. They also have to be pre-printed with the year, but that's a whole new law. So we get the application, it's complete. We go into the state's CVRS system, which is Central Voter Registration System, and we look the voter up, okay? We make sure they're registered. If they're not, if it says inactive, we reach out to them, listen, you gotta go to the registrars, you're inactive, you gotta make yourself active before I can give you this ballot. If they are registered and active, we go into the system, put their information in there, a barcode and a serial number print out onto a label that we then put to a serial number envelope, which goes into another envelope along with the ballot and the instructions and ballot Dropbox information and all this stuff. And we mail it out, or we can give it to people in person. And they fill out their ballot, they return it to us, they can return it to us by mail, they can return it to us by Dropbox, they can return it to us in person. There are also rules about who can return it. So in the state of Connecticut, has to be immediate family member, police officer, a registrar of voters, and when it comes back, those people that have been assigned to return it they have to show ID, and there is a box on the outside of that envelope where they have to sign it. That's only if you're returning somebody else's. If you're returning your own, you do not need to fill out that box on the outside. There's stuff you have to sign on the inside. But, so then we get it back, and that barcode that I talked about before that was on the label, we actually have a scanner through that CVRS system. We scan it, it shows up as returned, the ballot does. And then we have a whole system for keeping them organized. We organize them by district, by alpha, by street. And we constantly auditing them. Every couple days I go through and print a report, go one by one, making sure like they're all in order, everything's organized. Day of election comes, at 10 o'clock, I do our first delivery. Before I take it over there though, I do fill out an affidavit that a notary in town hall will notarize for me, and I am swearing that this is how many ballots I am bringing to Mary and Wendi. And then when they get them, we sit in that office, and if it's, the budget referendum, and there's only like 10 or 20, it's quick. If it's, the 2020 presidential election where there were 4,000, it's not so quick. And they literally go through and count, and they have to match what I'm giving them in that affidavit. So I'm saying I'm delivering these, and then they count, and they say, yep, that's what she brought us.
So when we go and you take your highlighter for our name and address, when someone sends in a mail-in ballot, is that when you do that? So that when someone comes, you can say you already...
So the CVRS system, because we listed you as done and absentee, the day before the election, the registrars will call me up and they'll say, we'll say it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon that we're printing our lists. Those lists will print out showing that those people have voted absentee, okay?
There's an A by their
Yeah,
name.
there's an A by their name. So those books at the poll, when they do that highlighting, they have the A's there. So somebody can't have done an absentee and then go to the polls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they can, but when they come to the polls.
So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
If they decide, yes.
We'll see.
There's always like that little
Voted
thing.
absentee, you
So-
cannot vote.
Yes, so if they decide they don't want, you know what, I did my absentee 2 weeks ago, and now I just feel like going to the polls. They have until 10 o'clock on election day that's why we are, 10 o'clock is when the delivery's done, because they have up until 10 o'clock that morning to come into my office and say, I want to pull my absentee ballot.
Oh, geez.
So they'll find their ballot, there's a whole form we have to fill out, they have to take it with them to the poll, because now they need to be notified that, oh, wait a minute, this person with an A next to their name actually pulled their absentee. So, yes, that is very rare.
It is
Thankfully, that's rare.
Can we do one more thing on the absentees? Mom's in a nursing home. Mom's in a nursing home, what are we going to do? She really wants
Yes.
to go. Well, we have two in town. We have Crescent Point and we have Breck starting in the beginning of October, we'll be getting our lists. We're in touch with the social workers. Crescent Point called last week saying, there's a primary. Nobody told us there was a primary. But thank you, I appreciate that you're on top of things. However, East Lyme is not having a primary. But I told the social worker, please go back and tell people how impressed we are that you're up, you're paying attention, you want to be in things. So in October, we will go out to both of the facilities. Karen will get the applications for them, and we act as the stewards for those ballots. We take them out, we verify that this is who, she says she's, usually it's a nurse or somebody says, that's Mary, she's here, you're gonna sit down. So we have one from each party, and we say, we're here, are you gonna vote? We go through the whole one-on-one process with them. So if anyone that you feel is in one of those places that want to vote, so-and-so used to get their father's ballot. Well, it's another thing for the family to have to remember when they can just tell the social worker, Mom would like to vote, or Dad would like to vote, and we get that taken care of, and they should in the facilitate that.
There's also
And
one more thing.
There's more.
So if someone has gone into a hospital or a nursing home within 6 days of the election, they can get an emergency ballot. So this is separate from that because at this point, the registrars have already gone out, right? So they go out 2 weeks before the election. So if somebody goes into the hospital or the nursing home, there's a separate application for an emergency absentee ballot. On that application, they can assign a person to get their ballot for them. And that is, the only time that anybody else can get somebody else's ballot for them. As long as they're assigned on that application, they can come in with that application. They're saying, Mary Smithson, Brybrook, she just went in. So it had to be just went in within 6 days. And she can assign her husband to come pick her ballot up. You give him his ballot, give him her ballot, take it to her. She would fill it out. You could bring it back for her and everything. So,
Are voters notified when you have received a ballot?
so no, we don't physically notify them, but there is a portal which I did bring a link to that they can go into. It's a state portal. They can go in. They can see if we've received their application and issued them their ballot, and then they can also see if their ballot has been received by us. And on that same portal, they can also check their voter registration. So that's a good. But I did bring the link in case anybody wants to get that.
All right, early voting.
All right, so early voting. Early voting starts, this year it's October 20th, Monday, October 20th. It starts 15 days before Election Day. We have 14 days of early voting, and the legislature so kindly gave us the Monday before the election off, which is really sweet because you usually only work 12 hours that day anyway, setting up all our polling places. So for early voting, as of right now, we are still using the envelope system. So someone comes in to vote early. We have a new module in our current voter registration system where, and I really like it, it's live. We do live checking. Someone shows us their ID, we look them up in our system. We can see in the early voting module, we can make sure they have not voted early in our jurisdiction or in any other jurisdiction. So, okay, cool, let's issue your ballot. We print out a label. It's very similar to Karen's system for the absentee ballots. We print out a label. We print out 2 labels. It's kind of like we use our tickets in the polling place. We print out 2 labels. So we give them to the voter and say, okay, go into the room, your district number 3. It'll show your district on that label. So they'll go in and they'll go to checker number 3. Checker number 3, they'll have that label, they'll tear one off and put it on the envelope. You can read the affidavit. You are who you say you are. I haven't voted anywhere else. You have to sign and date that envelope. Again, very similar to the absentee ballot process. The checker, inside checker crosses you off. We also have a paper. We have to have a paper voter checklist. We have it checked off electronically, checked off on paper. We'll cross you off there. The person will issue you a ballot and your envelope. You go in, you vote, put your ballot inside the envelope, and we did a really good job of making sure everyone signed. Like out of the 6,000, I think we had 2 people who didn't sign, unlike Stonington.
If you don't sign, your ballot doesn't get.
If you don't sign, it's not valid. I'm just saying, we're better than them. But we sign. So you vote, you put your ballot in, it's a peel and stick. We have peel and stick, so you don't have to lick it, even though we did have people try to do that. But peel and stick, and then you have your label with your barcode. So we have a scanner. They're basically like our tabulator tender scanner. They're in a different area of the module. They're scanning your barcode. So you're scanning in saying that, yes, we have received this ballot. The voter puts it in our secure ballot box. And the most important part is you get the sticker. So what we do is we do not, like one of you guys asked, we do not open any of those until Election Day. There is no counting of ballots, no tabulating until Election Day. So we get those envelopes, we organize them out by district, and we put them in bags, secured, taped bags that, like, we count them. Deposit, yeah, it's like election deposit bags. We put them in these bags, they're sealed. We say, District 1, 120 ballots on October 20th. Sign it, have 2 people sign it. Again, always 2 people, always both parties, either Democrat, Republican, Democrat unaffiliated, Republican unaffiliated. You never have 2 people of the same party doing any of the supervising. We take all those bags for the day and we have a locked, fireproof, it's a file cabinet, safe thing, deposit safe. I made up a sign-in sheet just to ensure chain of custody. Anytime whomever unlocks that safe, that deposit area, they have to sign, so-and-so unlocked it, this date, this time. Locked it up, this date, this time, to ensure chain of custody. So, goes on 14 days, 14 days, 10 to 6, except for the last Tuesday and Thursday, it's 8 to 8. Okay. Election day comes along. Karen's gonna bring us our absentee ballots after 10. We will have already started opening up on Election Day, like 6 a.m. on Election Day. We can start opening up those early voting ballots and feeding them through the tabulator. We don't tabulate, we don't calculate anything, we don't close it out. We could be finished, ideally, if the election gods are looking down upon us with kindness, we will finish processing those ballots early. If we finish at 5 o'clock processing those early voting ballots, we just let it sit. We cannot calculate until 8 o'clock on the dot. So no results or leaks are released.
You said we should come to you. I don't know where you're located. Where are you located? Town Hall?
We are down the hall. We're on the other side. The registrar's office is in the community center. It's on the other side of the building between the youth center and Parks and Rec. Karen's office, the town clerk's office, is in Town Hall. We're one of maybe 5 registrar's offices who are not located inside Town Hall.
Do people know this? Do they know how to?
No.
No.
Yeah,
despite it being on the website. Like, it's not normal, it is abnormal. Most people assume it's in the town clerk's, we're next to the town clerk, we're in town hall, it's what makes logical sense, but that is not how we do it here.
We are able to sometimes help them if they're looking to find out how they're registered or whatnot. We're not going to send them over here, we just help them over there. We also have the voter registration cards in the town hall, and they have an inter-office mailbox. So, I mean, we try not to send people over unless there's like some reason where you need to talk to the registrars. I don't know. But yeah.
Okay, the big question, are the tabulators connected to the internet?
No.
No, they are not.
Absolutely not.
They cannot be hacked.
No, they cannot be hacked by any actors, foreign or domestic, you cannot hack the tabulators. The tabulators are locked up. We test our tabulators. We test every single tabulator. We test it in, again, like I said, 2 parties represented. There's always two people of different parties. We test every machine. When that machine is tested, we seal up every portal with various different seals. We write down the seal numbers. We lock them up until election day. On election day, our moderators, when they open up those machines, they match the seal numbers, make sure those seals have not been broken. And you have we have our fancy new LED, LCD screen, but it is not in any way, shape, or form hooked up to any sort of internet. There's not a modem in there. It's not secretly receiving signals from a satellite somewhere. It's not. It really, for real, I promise, is not hooked up to the internet. Yes, our municipal ballot is one where we have lots of spoilage. We have lots of people who do accidentally overvote. Because in East Lyme, and I know we didn't get to touch on it, but we elect everyone. We elect our first selectman. We elect a board of selectmen. We elect, the first selectman and then 5 members of the board of selectmen. We elect 6 members of the board of finance. We elect 10 members of the board of education. We elect 6 members of the board of assessment appeals. We elect 6 members of the planning commission. We elect 3 planning alternates. We elect 6 members of the zoning commission. We elect 3 zoning alternates.
You just went down the ballot.
I did. I have this. We elect, man. We elect our town treasurer.
But not the dog.
I said assessment appeals. We used to elect our town clerk and our tax collector, but if y'all remember from the 2023 municipal election, we had the longest ballot ever because not only did we have all of these offices on the ballot, we had 11 charter revision questions. It gets confusing. And then even like our municipal ballot is the most confusing. But even in, like you were saying, even in like our even years when it's state and federal, you have like the way your ballot is set up, because the governor is a Democratic Party, then the Republican Party, and then usually you have your minor parties. Usually it's ROC's usually going to be Working Families Party because they've had a certain percentage of votes. Then it goes to the Independent Party, and sometimes those flip around just depending on the percentage. Then you have like random other parties. Gubernatorial years are fun because you have like random, the Billy Bob Loves Charlene Party, and letters 3 foot high.
So why is my name on that ballot twice? Does that mean you can vote for me 2 times?
That is a good question. So with minor parties, yes, a lot of times you'll see people that are cross-endorsed. Democrats and Working Families Party usually endorse the same people. Republicans and Independents usually endorse the same people. You can only vote for someone once. But let's say if you do vote for someone in both lines in which they are endorsed, the machine is only going to count it once, and it's going to come out as like unknown. It can't determine which party you wanted. You get a vote, It doesn't really matter in the end, it's only for our internal reporting purposes, but it does get confusing. And I wish there was a better way to make it more accessible and clear to the voters, but this is the way we do it.
The ballot is all set up how the state wants it set up. We do not have a choice on any of the wording, any of the layout. It literally is,
Yeah.
it's all.
All we can say is we try our best to give you an access to a ballot.
All right, just one last thing about auditing. The state audits
Oh, absolutely.
and certification. How are the votes certified?
Okay.
You wanna do that one?
Sure. The votes are certified by, as you're closing out the polls at the end of the night, we're getting our tapes that are reading how many for each vote was gotten. And then that comes back to our office. Usually we want to get out before midnight, so we have a stringer or a runner bring us a sealed envelope. The state has a recording system that then two people, again, it's always one from either party or an unaffiliated, and check and balance system there. We then take these numbers and put them into the computer. It's tabulated, and then our moderator, or our head moderator as the case is, says, oh yes, those were the numbers that we checked off. Are you sure? We read them back. 107, 286, and so on. They go line by line, and then we hit, once we get to the very end of all the districts, all your early voting, all of your absentee ballots. When they're all in the computer, we hit certify. This gives you this lovely little fireworks. No, it really doesn't. It gives you the printout that,
You can be honest and
Yeah.
say it takes like 20 minutes to
I know.
load.
I know, it's very slow, but that's okay, because we're very tired and we don't want to leave here. We just love each other. No, we joke about it, because by that time of night, it's the last thing we want to do is sit there and enter 625. But anyhow, it's certified, we have eyes. Our eyes have eyes, our ears have ears. This one hears something, oh, well, did I hear that? So by 8 o'clock at night, we're very tired. So then we have 48 hours. Because I may go home and say, geez, are you sure I put that number in there right? And of course, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're not going to call anybody. So we go back and we recheck. And we recheck again, and then we say, okay, we're fine with that. If there's anything that looks just a little bit like, there were X amount, then the magnifying glass comes out. So it really, with no internet, you can have human error, but that's why we have 48 hours to certify our results and send them in. And so then we say, okay, they're set to go.
We go over everything. We've often gone the next day and just reread all those tapes to make sure we have everything in. For audits, after every election, the Secretary of State does a randomized lottery. She puts in all the polling places into literally like a bingo looking wheel. She pulls out 5% of the polling places, and those are the, we audit them. When we get picked, it's like we can either drag all of our ballots up to a machine in Hartford, or we can do a hand count. And it's just to check to make sure our tabulators are working accurately and we have the same numbers.
We got audited 2 years ago?
We got audited for the presidential primary.
I remember because it was my.
It was you, yeah. We got audited in April. Yeah, we got picked after the presidential primary. And because it was a low turnout event, it was easy for us to just hand count. I think it took us, not even, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. We hand counted, we checked each other's. Again, always checking, rechecking, multiple parties represented, multiple rechecks.
This hour is
It just
up,
flew by.
and you can see how complicated this system is, and the amount of training and the dedication to the work that these people have. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters and all the citizens of East Lyme, we really do thank you.
Well, this is our job and we enjoy it. we do it for all 14
It
other
shows.
voters. And like you said, Joanne, in our office, you don't know who's what party,
That's right.
because we work for every voter of the town.
And we all work together as, like, this is your election team, the three of us, we all work together. We have our moderators, our election workers, we all work together in a nonpartisan way to make sure that every vote is counted, every voice is heard, that we are protecting the democratic process, and just making sure we don't have any agendas. Honestly, on election day, none of us care. We don't care. We do not care who wins. We do not care. We just want we just want an accurate election, fair, accurate election.
And over.
We just want it over. We do not care on election day who wins. It's all about amplifying the voices of the people, making sure everyone in town who chooses to vote, that their vote counts, their voices are heard. We'll think about the result. We want to make sure the results are accurate, but we don't care who wins until maybe 2 days later.
Aren't we lucky to live here?
Everybody else is out celebrating, but.
Yeah, we're just like, no, I'm going home.
The League of Women's Voters supports the system as well. We have an online voter guide called vote411.org. And you can go onto that site, make sure that you're registered. You can change your address on that site. You can change your political party on that site. You can also learn about all the candidates. You know, especially in a municipal election where there's 12 to 15 people, there's no way we know all of these people. So we send a questionnaire to each candidate in 169 towns in Connecticut. And we ask questions of them so that you can get to know them a little bit. And then it helps you vote for people if you don't know all the candidates. So do use Vote 411. And please be kind to your poll workers.
Please be kind to your poll workers.
There you go. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you so much.